Welcome to the Disrupt Your Career podcast, brought to you by Claire Harbour
and Antoine Tirant. We're passionate about helping everyone find fulfillment in their work life.
We believe that big, messy, uncharted career changes are inevitable, and it's up to you to decide.
Will you take control and disrupt, or allow yourself to be disrupted?
We wrote the book about it, and now we share here our conversations with other thinkers in this crucial area.
Settle down and get ready to listen to this dose of wisdom.
In this episode of the Disrupt Your Career Author Chat, I'm thrilled to be hosting Dr. Benjamin Ritter, who's a renowned career coach, the creator of Live for Yourself Consulting, and now the author of Becoming Fearless, which is going to be published next month in September of 2024. Benjamin, thank you for taking the time to join me, and welcome. So let's start with our usual question about inspiration. What actually inspired you to write this book? And what sort of specific audience or group of people did you have in mind when you were writing it?
Generally, when I think about what type of information in the written word is helpful, at least for myself, I don't like reading 400 pages to find the one little nugget. And so I like to think that I learn kind of in cookie cutter type of wisdom. And so that's kind of the content that I tend to create. So I ended up releasing kind of an audio form of this book called Fearless Fridays about 2 years ago. Every Friday I would jump on, I would do a 2 to 3 minute version of a tip that I feel helps myself and might help the world live a little bit more fearlessly. Because when you can be fearless, then really all doors are open to you. And I got such response from my audience. We're generally kind of those mid-career to executive professionals that are also interested in breaking free of that traditional career. They want to disrupt their career. That I thought to myself, okay, well, what other form can I put this content in? And how do I create a book so that I can even create more impact? And so we went through all the episodes. I kind of earmarked the ones that I thought would be most relevant, most impactful to help people become fearless, and then rewrote them. Verbal is very different than written. And crafted the book, and really hoping that it can kind of offer those nuggets and those little epiphanies that help me learn and help me change my life.
Beautiful. And I've always loved the words with less in them, because you can always break them down into the verb and the adverb, less. And so anything that helps people to fear less in general sounds like a really wonderful ambition to be giving yourself. And the pedal will hit the metal very soon. If you will, could you summarize and share the key concepts and methods and insights that you discuss in your book?
The entire book is actually founded on this general kind of concept that fear is just information. And if we want to live fearlessly, we have to accept that belief, and we have to interrupt the fear cycle, which is basically we feel something, we then think about it in a certain way based on our beliefs. And that reinforces whatever belief is kind of a focal point from the thought itself. So it's actually the first couple entries in the book are all about how to feel your feelings, how to think about your thoughts, and how to challenge your beliefs. And if we can realize that the danger or threat that we are feeling and thinking and believing is related to whatever we're afraid of, if we can understand that that's actually a choice based on experiences that we've had in our life, we can make a new choice. And so the book shares different ways to make that new choice. And basically 65 different strategies, mindsets, or actions that you can do to help you start believing that fear is just information. And then how do we reinterpret that information to actually achieve our goals and create a life or career that we truly are interested in?
Beautiful. I love the idea of choice. And 65, that's a large number. That's more than one new choice per week over a year for people to play with. I'd love it if you could share some of the success stories or case studies that you've either told in the book or cite and think about when you're illustrating this importance of becoming fearless.
The number 65, by the way, can be a little overwhelming for individuals that are overwhelmed. Also, just for anyone that is trying to change their life. Really important to remember that becoming fearless is not something that happens overnight, but it's actually a lifestyle. I think it took me about 4.5, 5 years to go explore and become curious and develop confidence, and then another 4.5 to 5 years to figure out what to do with that confidence. And then I'm still making changes today. So the clients that I've had, the pre-readers, the beta readers, the pre-orders, they've all said, either way, reading through this is inspirational and helps you feel a little bit more empowered about your life. Really realizing that you have more control than you think, or maybe than you thought, because of the fear that you are feeling or thinking or believing in. When you can find something that really resonates with you, though, in that book, because generally a strategy will relate more to someone based on what they're experiencing. Like if someone may be very happy in their personal life, but at work, maybe they're going for a promotion. So that individual would resonate with the entry that talks about how to show up more as a leader, how to act as if you've already been promoted, and shares different ideas around, if you're interested in being promoted, like this is what your manager's thinking. And this is who you need to be within the work environment itself. So the idea of act as if you've already been promoted, it basically says you need to change the perception of the people around you and take control of your career, be more proactive in that next step that you're trying to achieve, instead of waiting and thinking that someone is going to give it to you. Because that's not really how it works. Generally, we hold ourselves back because we're afraid of acting outside of our role, or we're worried about maybe a fear of failure or what people might think of us if we want to be promoted, as well as maybe we're just going to get more work. Well, we kind of takes a look at that fear and helps to reframe it, and then to adjust behavior based on, well, what do you need to do tomorrow to ensure that you can grow into that next role?
That's fascinating. I'm wondering what your favorite piece of advice is, and or, Little Rider, the one that you find most difficult still to put into action for yourself.
Is each of the entries in the book actually come from my own life, and then are reinforced through the clients that I work with. And then they're also based on just different research in the realm of job satisfaction, self-fulfillment, and such. So for me personally, one of the things that I always have to check in on is this concept that you can never really have too much work. And sometimes I'll catch myself saying, oh, I'm so busy, or there's so much to do. But in reality, I've chosen to put that on my to-do list. I've decided to give work my attention. And always constantly checking in with myself to say, what do I want to create, finish today? And then at the same time, closing the door on work when maybe I'm on a podcast or with friends. Like today, right now, I can't do the work. I can't go to my inbox. I can't do anything about it. So why would I worry about it? And oftentimes, even myself, we invest our energy into things that we can actually impact that relate to the task lists of the work that we have to do. And too often we're working when we're not even at work. It's 5, it's 6, it's 7 o'clock in the evening, or it's in the morning we woke up and we have the opportunity to really be with ourselves or be with the people that we care about, or you shared earlier, our pets, and give them our attention. I should not be spending more time on work.
That's very sound advice, and I can understand and empathize with why it's sometimes difficult to stick to it. And I think you're telling the story from your perspective really reminds us that the work is never really done. Whatever we're aiming to improve or enhance in our lives, there's always something more to do, which of course is ironic, given that we're also talking about doing less. But it's a beautiful paradox to play with, and I'm very grateful that you shared it. Benjamin, this sounds like exactly the kind of book that many of our listeners will be really very pleased to find and discover in the coming weeks and months. Of course, we'll be putting links to it in the show notes and encouraging our listeners to go off and do what they can in their quest to becoming fearless. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks again.
We hope you enjoyed hearing from this month's guest as much as we did.
Do go and check out our work on disrupt-your-career.com and come back soon. Thank you.